This video is sponsored by Incogni.
Hello Internet, says Skorikowski, and today we're going to talk about tabletop RPG reviews. Now, this is a subject that I know pretty well. According to my RPG reviews playlist, I've made 175 review videos covering something like 110 different adventures and 19 different RPG systems over the last 8 years of my doing this channel. There are hundreds of different RPGs and game supplements and adventures out there. Most people don't have the time or the ability to read through them all to determine which ones they want to spend their money on and play. So, like with most other purchases these days, we look to reviews to help us out with that decision. I lurk on several RPG forums, and every week or two someone starts a thread asking for recommendations on reviewers to follow or voicing their complaints about the overall quality of RPG reviews out there, and I almost never comment on these threads. It's almost impossible for me to come in and say something, say anything really without looking like I'm just trying to self-promote my channel, or that maybe I'm attacking a different reviewer out there, just killing the vibe of the whole discussion altogether. But I do have a few opinions about RPG reviews as far as what makes a good one, the different types of reviews out there, and my own review policy, which I've never explained in a single video before. I've explained it as just little parts on different videos, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about that all in one place finally. So that's what we're going to talk about today. When looking into an RPG product, there are a lot of questions that we might have. What is it? How hard is it to use? Is it helpful? Does it fit my table's taste? In the case of a physical product, what's the quality? Are the pages going to fall out of this thing? And ultimately, is this something I'd want to buy? While there are a lot of metrics that we could use to classify RPG reviews, I personally just put them into two main categories because they're the ones that really make the biggest difference to me. Reading reviews and playing reviews. Essentially, did they simply read the book or did they play the game? And both types of these reviews have their uses. First is reading reviews. This is when the reviewer has read the adventure or the game and relates their thoughts based off their experience and their expertise in other adventures or other games that they've played. The big advantage to them is that usually they have a much faster turnaround time. We'll usually see these first after a product releases, and they can answer many of the simple and initial questions that people might have about this particular product. Some of these reviews can be very thorough. Some reviewers might go through the whole process of building a character and testing out some of the mechanics, but most reviewers don't seem to go that far for these. The majority of reading reviewers just simply read it, hopefully read all of it, and then just pass their judgment. And while, yes, I personally do consult reading reviews before making a purchase, and there are some reviewers that I highly trust for their opinion and their thoroughness, by and large, these type of reviews are pretty low effort and prone to being incorrect. I've read and watched a good number of system or adventure critiques where it was glaringly obvious that the reviewer had not played whatever it was that they were reviewing. Either they said things that simply just weren't true, or they failed to bring up huge problem areas that aren't as obvious when you're reading it, but really become major issues very quickly during the course of playing it. They tend to focus more on minor issues, little typos or little nitpicks that don't matter too much at all for the overall playability or enjoyability of the game, but they're pretty low-hanging fruit as far as this is a mistake I found and I can critique it. And I've seen reviews that either praise something as being the best thing ever, or they scorned it for just being unplayable crap, where the reviewer clearly had zero actual playtime with this game or this product, and they were completely wrong. And it really pissed me off because, people are being steered towards or away something based off this incorrect information that the reviewer was giving, which that anger at those terrible reviews is what led to my own review policy being put into place. Which brings us to the second main category of RPG reviews, playing reviews. But first, a word from our sponsor, Incogni. Right now, data brokers are collecting your information, gathering your name, address, date of birth, buying habits, social security number, political affiliations, everything that they can. Then they're selling it to marketing companies, hiring managers, identity thieves, scammers, burglars, anyone. One of the biggest threats are people search sites, which those can be easily accessed by harassers who might not like how you drove that one day, or might not like something that you said online and decide to come after you, or potential burglars that are scoping a good home to rob. And while there are laws that require data brokers to remove your information from their database if you request it, the bad news is that there are hundreds of these broker companies out there, making it impossible for anyone to contact them all, let alone follow up to make sure that they did it. Now that's where Incogni comes in. You simply make an account, give them the permission to act on your behalf, and sit back as they go after brokers with your information and make them remove it, and follow up with them to be sure that they do. And just to show you, this is my most recent report that they emailed me at the end of November. So far they've sent requests to 348 brokers, 309 of them have removed my information so far, and 39 are never going to add my information again. So to help keep your data away from scammers and identity thieves and stalkers, while also cutting down on your spam and junk mail and robocalls, just hit the link below and use this code SESSCORE to get 60% off an annual plan with Incogni and let them do the work for you. And now back to the video with playing reviews. These are when the critic has actually played the game or the adventure being reviewed. And being the fact that most of the times the reviewer is also a game master, they're the ones that most likely ran that adventure or supplement. This first-hand experience means that they've actually seen the product in action, and those less obvious details that might escape a reader have revealed themselves during the course of play. These are the least common types of RPG reviews, and they're the types of reviews that I do on this channel. Because they require the critic to gather a group of players together and to actually play the dang thing, sometimes require multiple sessions in order to do it, these type of reviews can be extremely slow. So it might take weeks or months after a game or adventure is released before this review can even begin to release, often missing this window of, new product hype that might be around a new release. So, most often when people are going to be checking reviews right after something released, you are not going to be getting any playing reviews out of that. When the topic of read versus played RPG reviews comes up, a popular sentiment is how an experienced game master doesn't need to play the game. They can draw on their expertise to formulate an accurate review, and that sounds great, doesn't it? And this is something that I've most often heard from different RPG reviewers out there that only read the game before they review it, but I call bullshit on this, because I've got 33 years worth of experience playing RPGs, and while, yeah, I can make a pretty educated assessment of how an adventure or a game might not probably play, I've also been terribly wrong off that initial assessment before. And not just in problem areas that I didn't see when I was reading it, but also hidden gems that play much better than they read. For example, my favorite example of this was 7th edition Call of Cthulhu's chase rules. They read really weird, and I thought they looked goofy as hell, but we tried them out and ended up being the best chase scene that we have ever played before. I've now ported these rules over into other games, but had I just simply written them off after reading them the first time, I'd have missed out on one of my very favorite RPG mechanics out there. Other games, while the rules read great, when you're sitting around on the couch, they're extremely difficult to use and reference during the course of play. What I refer to as a couch read versus a table read. And one complaint that I've made about many games and adventures is they read out a lot better than they play. One thing that I've noticed with how critical or thoroughly someone believes that they read an RPG book, kind of like a thought experiment, that is nothing compared to what reading it's like before you got to run that thing tomorrow for your buddies, and you want to make sure that you've got everything down because you want to make sure that you have a good time. So it's not just the act of running the game that changes how you analyze something, but that starts from the instant you've committed to yourself to the fact that, yeah, you are definitely going to be running this thing, and you look at it a whole lot differently. And I don't care how much expertise or experience somebody believes that they have, a true assessment requires that you put it to the test. I expect my movie reviewers to have seen the movie, my car reviewers to have driven the car, and my RPG reviewers to have played the game. But as I said, the cost for these types of reviews can be that they take a long time to appear after a product is initially released. Customers have to weigh, do they want it thoroughly or do they want it fast? And they cannot have both. But there's also other considerations to make when you're looking at an RPG review, such as what are the reviewer's tastes? Like with most entertainment critiques, what's fun and intuitive is completely subjective. An RPG reviewer who prefers cozy RPGs like tea time adventures probably isn't going to have the best recommendations for the nihilistic horrors of Delta Green and vice versa. So it's a good idea to find reviewers who have the same tastes as yourself or have experience in the same types of games that you're interested in looking into and learning about. For example, my personal tastes lean towards skill-based games, investigation, horror, criminal, set in the modernish era all the way through sci-fi. So I tend to talk about Cyberpunk, Call of Cthulhu, Traveler, and Cult Divinity Lost. I also have a huge huge weakness for pulp adventures, so I'm probably not the best person to go to if you're wanting the opinions on the latest 5e D&D or Pathfinder release, unless your tastes coincide with my own, because we're going to be viewing those through the same lens. So when you're reading or watching a review of something that you're interested in and they're saying how it's a must-buy or maybe it's the worst thing ever, it's a good idea to check out some of the critics' other reviews to determine what their personal tastes are, because if you do find a critic that shares the same tastes as you and they give solid reviews for games, you should definitely follow that critic. Next is money. I hate to shatter some dreams as to what RPG reviewers make, but it is not that much. As far as hobby goes, this is still a pretty niche market. And reviewers, they also got to eat and possibly pay for a crippling RPG addiction. I can stop anytime, I swear. YouTube and blog view numbers don't make as much money as most people out there imagine. So how do we get paid? Well, many publishers will send out review copies in exchange for reviews. They want to get their names out there, and reviewers need stuff to talk about, so it's pretty win-win. And it's like this for every industry, from games, electronics, makeup, cookware, you name it. However, this is where things start getting a little bit tricky and the question of bias and promotion starts coming into play. A reviewer should disclose if they received a review copy or not. And not just should, but legally required to in most places. But that should also come with the provision that a review copy does not mean that it's going to be a favorable review or even receive a review at all. This is one thing that I learned as a novelist, as reviews from review copies that we sent out really came to about 25 to 30% that we actually got a review in return for the review copy. But it does come with the question of a free product favorably biases the critic towards the publisher. Hopefully not, but it is possible, and this is the reason that critics are supposed to disclose if they received a review copy or not. This is different than paid reviews. I have never once charged a publisher or anyone else for a review, but I have been offered money many times to do sponsored review videos, and I've turned each and every single one of those down. I find it shady as hell of just making an infomercial under the guise that it's an RPG review. I just find the whole practice dishonest. It doesn't just hurt the integrity of that particular review, but every review that critic is given should now be called into question. But I can only say all this for myself. If another critic is being paid to do a review and they don't disclose that, well, then that can be a pretty serious problem, and customers need to use their best judgment when they're watching a review video. Now, sponsored reviews are different than ad sponsorships. This video was sponsored by Incogni for a 60-second ad. For most YouTubers, sponsorships make far more money than what the YouTube views are going to generate. And the reason that I chose Incogni for this video is, one, I legitimately do like their product, but two, it is not the subject of this video. If I said I was going to do a review video for, let's say, Chaosium's new Cthulhu by Gaslight, a book that I've been looking forward to for a very long time, and then I had this video brought to you by Chaosium as the ad spot, well, that can make it pretty difficult to believe that the review is truly an unbiased review if the publisher is also sponsoring the review video. I mean, if you're watching a review for, say, the new Toyota Camry, and then it said sponsored by Toyota in the bottom corner, you would say the same thing about that, right? So as a reviewer, I have to be aware of who is sponsoring which video that I'm going to be putting that sponsorship on. And as a side note, Chaosium has never once sponsored me. I've even talked with them about this, and they were the first to mention that, sponsoring a reviewer was kind of a bad look for everyone involved, and I really do appreciate them saying that and bringing that up with me, because, it saves us both an uncomfortable talk if they were to offer that later on, because, we both know where each other stand on that. In fact, I bought this book with my own money. They did not even offer me a discount to buy this thing, even though that I've been talking about it for years and I talk about their products all the time. I still had to pay full price for this. So that is not going to bias my review at all. I promise. Now I'm joking here. I don't need people going out there that, Seth is going to punish you if you don't give him discounts. It was a joke, guys. Another source of reviewer income is affiliate links. Now, full disclosure, any link that I ever give to Amazon or DriveThruRPG or Humble Bundle, that is an affiliate link. And I make a small royalty not only from people buying the product that I put a link to, but any other products that they might add to the cart while they're there. Now, that is great. And the way that I see it is I was going to be putting up a link to DriveThruRPG or Amazon anyway, so I might as well make an affiliate link because I was going to be putting a link there one way or the other. In addition to the revenue that generates, I get to to see how many people are buying something that I review, providing they're actually using the links that I provided, of course. But I found that stuff that I even give a negative review for, those seem to sell just as well as the different things that I put links to that I give glowing reviews for. So that was a pretty big surprise to me. Now after that, the other ways that reviewers make money is through merchandise, such as t-shirts or special dice or other swag, or, selling their own RPGs or books or other items, such as my own novels. That's a great way to support your favorite channel, as well as community sponsorships like Patreon or paid memberships to channels, supporting the reviewer directly. And while I'm at it, a huge thank you to all of my patrons out there. I do not thank you guys enough. But the reason that I bring up reviewer income up is customers should consider if the reviewer is getting paid in exchange for a positive review, or if they're giving positive reviews in order, in exchange of getting more and more free product. Because maybe they're not going to be getting any more free product if they're known to keep giving that publisher, poor reviews. Maybe that is slanting their opinion. However, I will say that this is an accusation that does get thrown out a whole hell of a lot. Just about any game that I've talked very highly about, someone has accused me of being a paid shill simply because they can't imagine that I would like that game or that product and not, just love or hate whatever it is they love or hate, and that is exhausting how often that happens. But that's the world of RPG reviews and reviewers, and customers need to not just consider what critics are saying about a game or a product, but how thoroughly they use that product themselves, if they even used it at all, and what that critic's personal game preferences are, and if any compensation was involved at all in this. Now, for my own review policy, I have mentioned it here and there in various videos, but I've never just laid it all out in any official capacity. I do played reviews, meaning that I have personally played the adventure or the particular game enough to feel that I have a solid understanding and opinion of it. And in most cases, this usually means that I'm going to be the one running it. Now, my group is a normal group. We've been playing together for years, and I'm not going to run them through a game that I don't believe is going to be a good match for us. I'm going to run what I see as having the most fun with. If I don't see that it's a good fit or matches our taste or whatever mood we're currently in to play, I am not going to run it, and therefore it doesn't get a review. And every publisher, big or small, who offers to send me a review copy gets the same disclaimer before I accept anything from them. To put it simply, we play what we enjoy and I review what we play. And no one who isn't at my table gets any say at all in what it is that we're going to play. My first priority is to my players. That also means that my reviews do lean towards being positive. Why? Because if I ran it, that means I've already vetted it as something that I thought we were going to enjoy playing. Now, I have been wrong before and run a few lemons from now time to time, but most of the time we have a great experience with whatever it is that we're playing, which means most of my reviews as a result of me vetting them before I ran them are going to be pretty favorable. The next consideration is time. If I received or bought an adventure that I can work into whatever our current campaign is, then great. I'll probably work that in as soon as I can, but more sooner than if it was something completely outside what our current campaign is. Otherwise, it's going to have to wait until we're finished playing whatever game or campaign it is that we're playing. For example, our current Secrets of the Ancients campaign has been going on for a year and a half now. I hope to have this finished up in the next month or two, but until we are done with this, all of our primary game days are going to be dedicated to this campaign. And while I'm on it, you should totally check out my ongoing campaign diary review for it. It's both a comprehensive chapter-by-chapter review and friggin' hilarious. And to repeat from earlier, I will not do paid reviews. I find them shady as hell. I will accept review copies, but those in no way guarantee a positive review, and depending on our tastes and our play schedule, I can't promise that review, if there is one, being prompt or even at all. Righteous Blood, Ruthless Blades, a game that I loved once we started playing it, it had to wait 2 years before I even opened the book to decide if we were going to play it or not. Now, any publishers out there are wishing to send me review copies, then great. I love review copies. And this includes community content creators out there like Miskatonic Repository or the Traveler's Aid Society. I am open to those. But first, look at what type of games it is that I play and I review. Because I get countless requests from people that are making 5e content, and I have to turn all of that down because 5e isn't anything that I'm interested in playing. There's a lot of great stuff and a lot of great people that are making it out there, but that game is simply not my jam, so sorry. And if what you have looks like something that I would enjoy to play, then definitely pitch it to me. Don't just send me a message saying that you've made a game and then ask me if I'll review this game without telling me anything about it. Tell me about this game or this adventure that you have. Sell me on it. Tell me why it is that this is something that I absolutely want to play next before all the other cool games that I've got in queue waiting to be played. And bonus points if you can do that in just 1 or 2 paragraphs. If you see me this big wall of text, my ADHD kicks in and then I lose interest before you get to the point of whatever it was you were going to say. And whatever you do, don't just send me a PDF or a download link without asking me or even pitching it all to me. I get these things all the time being emailed to me and I don't open them because I wasn't able to give my disclaimer that me accepting a review copy doesn't guarantee a prompt review or even a review at all, so I don't even open those. Trust me, I'm an author myself, and I completely understand the value of getting reviews and getting your name out there and just how frustrating it is trying to find somebody out there that can review whatever it is that you have. And also, in all honesty, I find it difficult to even call myself a reviewer. I really kind of fought being called a reviewer for a long time, mostly because I'm not seeking out games in order to review them. I'm looking for games in order to play them and enjoy running for my friends. I'm just simply a normal game master. It just so happens that I make review videos about whatever it is that we're playing, but I'm not looking to play games just so I can review them. But I have had to accept that yes, I definitely am an RPG reviewer, just not a conventional RPG reviewer, and I am perfectly fine being unconventional. Again, thank you to Incogni for sponsoring this video, and remember to go to the link below to get 60% off an annual plan. Till next time, gamers, you have a great day.